All right, probably the most important boundary I had to learn how to set was emotional boundaries. I had none of them, and I did not respect other people's emotional boundaries. So I want to unpack that a little bit for you and tell you the importance of emotional boundaries and what that can look like, especially as you're recovering after the affair. So, emotional boundaries are exactly that. They are the boundaries around our emotions. Okay. Again, we talked about in the very first video, the boundary is around what's our responsibility. And this was a tough lesson actually for me to learn back in the day, was that my emotions are my responsibility. I very much felt that my husband needed to take responsibility for my emotions after I found out about the affair. I was devastated, and I felt like he needed to not only take responsibility for his role and why I felt the way he did, which is actually, that's true, that's accurate. They do need to take some responsibility in that. But I needed him to fix my emotions. Like he was supposed to swoop in and take the pain away, and I was very angry at him for not doing that, and it was all messed up. And until I actually worked on boundaries and realized that um, that's not appropriate. Like that's not a responsibility he has, nor should I expect, that from him, nor should anyone expect that from me. So let's talk about emotional boundaries and what they are for just a second. So inside our boundary are our feelings. We can't help the way we feel. We feel what we feel. And it is what it is, especially those feelings that just kind of set upon us at a moment's notice. But we can do something about what we do with those feelings, because we can respond in tons of different ways to feeling sad, angry, afraid, whatever that feeling is that jumps on us. We can function a number of ways in that scenario. But they're ours, all of it. Even if someone does something to incite the fear, the sadness, whatever it is, they're still our feelings. That person, any other human in the world, cannot take that feeling away from us, or can somehow fix what happens as a result of that feeling. That's all up to us. That is our responsibility. Now, yes, before you argue, yes, you are correct in thinking that, well, can't they do something to help make it better? Well, yeah, other people's actions, our environment can definitely help with our emotions. If we're feeling sad and a friend comes and hangs out with us, oh gosh, yes, that helps it feel better. Now, they don't take the sadness away, but they help us process the sadness. You know what I mean? And our husband, who cheated on us and broke our heart and left us a puddle on the floor, yeah, their actions contributed, because that's an environmental thing. Their actions contributed to how we feel. What happened outside of our boundary affected us inside of our boundary. But what we do with that is up to us. That's where that parameter lies. So setting emotional boundaries is really, really important, to always remind ourselves when we're feeling a certain way, that belongs to me and only me. Yeah, you can talk about it with other people for sure. You can process it with a counselor. You can talk to your husband about it and say, I'm really having a hard day. I'm really very sad today, or I'm having a great day, or whatever it is. But ultimately, it stays and belongs inside of our boundary. Likewise, and this is where I was horrible at this, the emotions inside of my husband's boundary belonged to him. I was so bad about this. I became so codependent, which I'm sure is part of it. If he was depressed or seemed sad or seemed to be having an off day, I immediately put it in my boundary. And it suddenly became 50 questions. Are you okay? You look sad. What's wrong? And then it turned to, are you mad at me? Did I do something? And it irritated my husband to death because it never had anything to do with him at all. I mean, anything to do with me. It was him. He was having a bad day. Maybe he had a tough day at work, or maybe he, is stressed out. But I always internalized it, and I ignored his boundary, went over there, got all into his emotions, and made it about me. When those are his, those are not mine. And I also wanted to fix it. If he was in a bad mood, I couldn't stand it. I needed to fix it because it was about me again. And I would go all out trying to fix it. And of course, a lot of this is understandable because of the fear we have after the affair that if they're unhappy, they're going to cheat again. I think there's always a subconscious fear that if they're unhappy, we're just asking for it. If we just do everything we can, that's where my codependency came from. If we just keep them happy, then it'll never happen again. But the reality is I'm not responsible for his feelings, and he's not responsible for mine. Now, he's responsible for how he treats me. Yeah. And I'm responsible for how I treat him. And there's an expectation there of respect and kindness and patience and understanding. But when it comes to our feelings, that's on me. My feelings and my boundary, his feelings and his boundary. So as you begin formulating your boundaries, always remember that your emotions live in your boundary. It's no one else's job to fix how you feel or even to make you feel better. You are responsible for that. I am responsible for that. And ultimately, and hear what I'm saying, it took me so long to wrap my brain around this, but now that I do, I'm free. No one is responsible for our happiness except us. It's our job. Happy's up to us. Joyful is up to us. Successful is up to us. It's no one else's job. It lives firmly in our boundary. That was a big one for me. I don't know if it was for you, but it was a huge one for me. So let that sink in a little bit, process that a little bit, look it up. Look, again, go to Dr. Henry Cloud's spot, which I suggested before, and check out some of the stuff he has. But our boundaries need to be around our emotions. They don't belong to anybody else but us. So work on that. See if you can't develop really clear-cut boundaries around your own emotions. And please respect other people's boundaries and their emotions. If someone's in a bad mood or having a bad day or whatever, that's in their boundary. If we feel like we can do something to help cheer them up, great. But it's not our responsibility. It's theirs. Okay? There's a separation there between we love somebody and we want to be kind and help them feel better, and we feel responsible because they're sad. It's not our responsibility. So if you haven't watched the other boundary videos, I encourage you to go back and do that. I'm going to create a whole section just on this because I think it's so important. So go back and check those out. I have a couple of free resources listed below this video, so click those links. There's a free guide and a free video, and both of them are full of some great information. And then I do have a Facebook group. It's a private group. It's just for wives like us. I hope you take a moment and join that because we're a great group and we're very supportive of each other. And I'm in that group every day, posting and replying. And I'd love an opportunity to get to know you better. So in the meantime, work on those boundaries, okay? I'm serious. You will find such freedom in your life with strong, healthy boundaries.